I will tell you the truth. I did speak to when I spoke to Ben 10, and I didn't say this part, but he did acknowledge that he said he did get stood over. He admitted that. He said he got stood over.
NBA Ben 10 allegedly cooperated, and that's the part making the whole situation look crazy. The details out right now are pointing to Ben 10 speaking with federal investigators after he got shot. And according to what's being laid out, that cooperation is what helped lead to Allstar JR getting arrested, charged, and locked up by the feds. That's the story people are running with right now. And before anybody jumps in the comments saying, that's not what happened, let's slow down and really break this down.
And he said the guy ran out of, I think that's God. Dude is standing, this picture is as clear as day now. He's standing over you, and he ran out of, okay? It's not his, you're already another guy, and this was Ben 10.
I need everybody to relax. Stop typing for 1 second and let me walk through this piece by piece, because the paperwork is looking loud and the streets are already talking. Allstar JR, whose real name is Jeremy Christopher Ford, is a Detroit rapper who is now in federal custody. The Department of Justice released surveillance photos, and these weren't blurry internet screenshots either. These were federal-level surveillance images showing him standing near NBA Ben 10 with a gun in his hand. A federal criminal complaint has been filed against him. He's been charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. He was arrested in California on April 23, 2026, reportedly while he was on his way to do a Vlad TV interview. And this is where things get real interesting.
They know exactly what happened, bro. They just explained it to a T. The nigga was up in there minding his business. Some dudes approached him in a group of people who started growing for us, watching his chain. A situation occurred while they was fighting dude. A gun fell. He picked it up, blew at everybody, and he spit on Ben and smacked him with the pipe after he ran out of shells from popping him and popping the other dude.
The feds don't just magically know every little detail about what happened that night at Confessions restaurant in Houston. For the complaint to be that specific, somebody had to give them information. Somebody who was there when everything went left. So lock in, because this is way deeper than just a shooting. This story has betrayal, street politics, pride, social media clout chasing, and people moving messy when they should have stayed quiet. Ben 10, allegedly talking. Allstar JR allegedly putting himself in a bad spot. And the internet making everything even hotter turned this into one of the wildest rap situations of 2026. No cap. This whole beef is looking like a masterclass in how not to move when cameras, phones, and federal investigators are all watching. To really understand how it got this bad, we have to go back and lay the whole table out first. You need to understand who all these people are, because without that context, none of this is really going to land the way it should. First up, Allstar JR.
I don't know why the feds felt like they gotta go back and charge a dude who didn't initially have a gun on him. It sounded like this dude was getting jumped, and some of these niggas who was jumping them had guns. One of their guns failed. He picked up their gun, blew them niggas down, and he's arrested in the feds for having a gun and being a felon. Like, what type of weird ass shit is that, bro? You know?
To that part later. But here's what really matters for the legal side of this situation. Allstar JR is a convicted felon. He has a prior felony on his record out of Michigan, and under federal law, that comes with strict rules. A convicted felon is not allowed to possess a firearm or ammunition at all. No exceptions, no loopholes, no maybe. That's federal law, clear and simple. And that one detail is the backbone of the entire case the government is building right now. Everything circles back to that. Keep that locked in your mind as we move forward. Now on the other side, you have NBA Ben 10, whose real name is Ben Anthony Fields. He's a Louisiana-born rapper connected to NBA Young Boys Circle, moving with that same energy and influence tied to that camp. He's been building his name steadily, and up until April 2026, he wasn't at the center of any major national headlines. There may have been tension behind the scenes between his side and Allstar JR's side, but nothing had exploded publicly. That all changed in a serious way on April 8th, 2026. Then there's J. Prince Jr., connected to one of the most powerful names in the industry. As the son of Rap-A-Lot Records founder J. Prince, he's been working to build his own identity while still standing on a legacy that carries serious influence. He was at Confessions restaurant the night everything went down, and just being there pulled him right into the middle of this entire situation, whether he planned to be or not. Whether he wanted that attention or not, J. Prince Jr. got pulled straight into the mess. He later tried to clear his name in public, but by then, Allstar JR had already placed him at the scene. The location was Confessions Restaurant in the Upper Kirby area of Houston, Texas, on the 3200 block of Kirby Drive. That's where everything blew up on April 8th, 2026, at around 11:23 p.m. Remember that time and remember that spot, because every piece of this story leads right back to that moment. According to court documents, surveillance footage, and the federal criminal complaint filed against Allstar Jr., he was inside Confessions restaurant that night. What brought him to Houston in the first place? That part still isn't fully clear. What was going on before he walked through those doors?
Like, that should have been a self-defense. He all the way in Texas too, and y'all gonna do him like that? Federally indict this man on the UUW by felon charge when he didn't even have a gun on him. What did y'all want to do? Not defend himself? I'm just so lost, bro. This is like what happened to the nigga that killed Bloodhound Lil Jeff, bro.
We don't have every detail yet, but what we do know is simple. He was there. At some point that night, a group of people approached him inside the restaurant, and investigators say this was not just some random run-in. According to the federal complaint, during the confrontation, several people in that group appeared to grab at Allstar Jr.'s necklace and watch. In plain terms, they were allegedly trying to rob him, or at least that's how the situation is described in the federal paperwork. And that detail matters, because it frames Allstar Jr. as the person being targeted first. The story, at least from what the complaint lays out, starts with him allegedly getting robbed. But then everything turns wild. During the struggle, while multiple people were allegedly on him and reaching for his jewelry, a handgun fell to the floor. Just picture that for a second. In the middle of a heated restaurant confrontation, with people grabbing, moving, and scrambling, a gun suddenly hits the ground. And right there, Jeremy Christopher Ford makes the choice that could change everything for him legally. According to prosecutors, this is where everything escalates fast. They say he picked that gun up off the floor, and the moment he had it in his hand, he started firing as people scattered in every direction. As the crowd ran, trying to get out of the restaurant, JR was allegedly shooting into that chaos. This wasn't controlled, this wasn't contained, it was panic mixed with gunfire. When Houston police got to the scene, what they walked into was serious. Inside the restaurant, they found one victim with a gunshot wound to the neck. Another victim was discovered in the parking garage, hit multiple times in the hand and the leg. There was blood across different areas, not just in one spot. Officers followed a trail of blood that stretched from the dining area to the elevator, then out into the parking garage. That trail basically mapped out how far the situation spread. At the scene, law enforcement recovered a Glock 43X handgun, along with a magazine, a holster, and multiple spent shell casings and bullet fragments. That tells you right.
Niggas, what they claimed happened, how they charged that nigga, they basically told him, cool, dude was trying to kill you, you killed him, we ain't gonna put the body on you, but you going to jail for having a gun that killed the dude. I just don't get the logic, bro. Like, if you're not gonna put a attempt murder on this nigga, then how are you gonna put a gun charge on this man? This man didn't have a gun. One of their guns, the niggas who was beating him up, dropped the gun. And he picked that gun up and got them niggas up.
There, this wasn't just one shot fired into the air. Multiple rounds were let off, and people got hurt because of it. One of the victims taken to the hospital was Ben Anthony Fields, known as NBA Ben 10. He had been shot in a critical area, with reports pointing to the neck region being involved. He was hospitalized, and while he was laid up recovering, everything outside that hospital room was already starting to spiral in a different direction. Now this is the part you really have to lock in on, because this is where Allstar Jr. allegedly turns the situation against himself. This is where the story stops being just about a shooting and starts becoming about exposure and decisions made in public. Not long after the incident, while Houston police were still actively investigating and the scene was still fresh, Allstar Jr. went on Instagram. And this right here is what has people talking heavy. Instead of laying low, he posted a carousel of photos showing himself at a jewelry store back in Detroit, looking polished, looking relaxed, like nothing had just happened. And for a situation this serious, that move raised a lot of eyebrows fast. And then comes the part that really shocked people. The caption he posted said, and this is a direct quote, "Had to shoot to the D and get new ice, 'cause my man's Ben 10 took some of my stuff to the hospital with him." Then he added another line that made things even worse, saying he thought someone was tough till I shot his a few times. That's exactly what was put out there for everyone to see. Take a second and really process that. This wasn't vague. This wasn't coded language. This looked like someone putting serious details out in public while an active investigation was going on. At a time when Houston PD was searching for answers, he goes online and drops a caption that sounds like a play-by-play. He mentioned Ben 10 being hit, he talked about shooting, and he put it all on a platform where anyone could see it. And this is why people started saying he made things worse for himself. That kind of post doesn't stay hidden. It spreads fast. Law enforcement, media outlets, blogs, and regular people all had access to it. What might have been a private situation instantly turned into something public. And once it's out there for good. But it didn't stop there. Reports say Allstar Jr. also shared alleged private messages between him and Ben 10 after the incident. Those messages, once posted, added even more attention to the situation. In them, he appeared to mock Ben 10, asking questions about how he felt after being shot and making disrespectful comments. Whether people see that as part of a feud or something else, putting those messages out publicly only brought more eyes onto everything. And that's where the line starts to blur between personal conflict and legal trouble. Because when details connected to a violent incident get shared online like that, it doesn't just stay in the streets or on social media. It can end up being looked at as part of a bigger case. Then, adding even more fuel to the situation, he released a diss track titled Mob Untied, aimed at Ben 10 and J. Prince Jr., pushing the situation even further into the spotlight and making an already tense situation even louder. Then it goes even further. He drops a full diss track aimed at J. Prince Jr., turning the situation into music while at the same time, cameras were allegedly already watching and investigators were putting pieces together. He didn't slow down at all. Instead, he kept going like nothing could touch him. And then came what a lot of people are calling the wildest move of all. He announced a $20,000 challenge to his followers. The idea was simple but shocking. People were told to lie on the floor like they had just been shot, record it, and the winner would get $20,000. That turned a real situation where someone ended up in the hospital into something people online could copy for attention. And this was all happening while the investigation was still active. From the outside, it looked like he believed he was untouchable, like he could post, joke, and turn everything into content without consequences. He was moving like everything was locked in and nothing could come back on him. But that mindset didn't match reality, because this is where everything starts catching up fast. When you post captions that sound like you're describing a shooting, when you share messages connected to that same situation, when you release songs and challenges tied to it while the victim is still recovering, it brings serious attention. Not just from fans or blogs, but from people building cases. And here's what really pushed things forward. The level of detail in the federal complaint didn't just appear out of nowhere. We're talking exact timestamps, like 11:23 p.m., a specific location inside Confessions restaurant, and a clear sequence of events. That kind of detail usually comes from strong evidence. Confessions restaurant reportedly had surveillance cameras covering multiple angles. Investigators were able to review footage from inside the building, and that footage became a key part of understanding what happened. Shortly after the incident, Lieutenant R. Wilkins from the Houston Police Department even stated publicly that surveillance video would likely play a major role in identifying a suspect. That was said out loud for everyone to hear. But despite that, the posting didn't stop. And later on,
Feds when got all wild stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's gonna go exactly like this, and I'm gonna tell you how it's gonna go. Some people went booked Junior, Allstar Jr., because they know for a fact in their hearts and their minds, this is gonna tell on Prince, and this is gonna tell on Bean and them.
federal investigators released surveillance images connected to the case. These were real still images, not rumors or guesses. They showed a man identified as Allstar Jr., Jeremy Christopher Ford, standing over someone on the ground. In one image, he appears to be holding and firing a weapon. In another, his face is more visible near an elevator, which lines up with the path investigators described when they followed that blood trail through the building. All of that combined made the situation much more serious, because now it wasn't just talk online. It was visuals, timelines, and digital footprints all lining up at once. DJ Academics dropped those surveillance images, and that's when everything shifted online. The internet went into full reaction mode, because now this wasn't just rumors or people guessing anymore. This wasn't just something being debated in comments. Federal authorities had released photos, placing this man at the scene, and that changed how people looked at the whole situation instantly. Now here's the layer that really pushes this into that snitching conversation, because that's what a lot of people keep pointing at. The federal complaint lays everything out with serious detail. We're talking about a full timeline, descriptions of what happened inside the restaurant, the alleged robbery attempt, the moment the gun hit the floor, JR picking it up, shots being fired, victims getting hit, and even the path of that blood trail. It's very specific, and details like that don't usually come from just one source. Investigators build these cases using multiple pieces. Surveillance footage, physical evidence, and statements from people connected to the situation all get combined. That's how you end up with something this detailed. When someone is injured and ends up in the hospital, it's also standard for law enforcement to gather information as part of their process. NBA. Ben 10 was shot and hospitalized, and during that time, investigators had access to speak with people connected to the situation. Whether information came directly from him, from others at the scene, or from different circles tied to that night. Details were gathered and put together. Add in the surveillance footage and everything that was already being posted online, and that's how the case started taking shape the way it did. But here's the part people keep circling back to. A lot of the attention is on how Allstar Jr.'s own actions online played a role. That Instagram caption where he said he shot someone a few times didn't just disappear. It became something people pointed to as part of the bigger picture. His own words were out there, public, and easy to connect to the situation being investigated. So when you put it all together, it's not just one thing that built this case. It's multiple layers stacking up at once. But the online posts, the messages, and the public statements definitely added fuel to how quickly everything came together and how strong the narrative started to look from the outside. So when people say Ben 10 snitched on Allstar Jr., you have to understand it's not that simple. There are layers to this. Ben 10 may have cooperated in the situation as someone who was injured, which is standard in cases like this. But at the same time, Allstar Jr. was putting information out himself every time he went on Instagram. That's what makes this whole thing so complicated. Now, let's talk about J. Prince Jr., because his presence added serious tension to everything playing out online. Once people started breaking down the footage and connecting it with what was being posted, they realized he was at confessions the night everything happened. He was there, and Allstar Jr. made sure his name didn't stay quiet. He called him out publicly and suggested that Prince Jr. was somehow tied to how things escalated. Allstar Jr. even claimed that Prince Jr. left the scene when everything went down. By putting that out there, he placed Prince Jr.'s name right in the middle of the situation for everyone to see. And once that happens online, it spreads fast and sticks whether it's accurate or not. J. Prince Jr. responded publicly, trying to clear his name. He posted statements distancing himself from the incident, saying he wouldn't harm anyone and wishing recovery for those who were hurt. He also encouraged people to be honest about what really happened that night. But by that point, the conversation had already taken off. Because once a narrative starts building online, it's hard to control it. In the court of public opinion, people had already started forming views. Allstar Jr. had painted a picture of Prince Jr. as someone who was present and left during the chaos, and that alone was enough to pull him deep into the spotlight. And that's what makes this situation even more intense. Now you've got multiple names involved publicly. Allstar Jr. calling people out, J. Prince Jr. having to respond and defend himself, and Ben 10's side reacting to everything being said. It turns into a layered conflict where everyone is watching closely, trying to see how things unfold next and who speaks or acts in response. And while all of this chaos was playing out in public, the feds were moving quietly in the background, putting pieces together. Meanwhile, Ben 10, even from a hospital bed, wasn't staying silent. And this part matters more than people realize, because it feeds directly into that whole snitching conversation everyone keeps having. He was posting while recovering, neck brace on, clearly coming out of something serious, and still active online. A FaceTime screenshot that got picked up showed him laid up, but alert. That's not a small thing. Most people would completely disappear after something like that, but he stayed visible. And then he started speaking on it. He called out Allstar Jr. directly, saying he was pushing fake stories. One of the posts that got attention said, "Somebody please come pay me for interview," because dude's selling them fake acts, dreams, and nightmare story. That line right there had people talking heavy. At first glance, it might look like simple back and forth, just two sides clashing online. But if you read deeper into it, it hits different. He's calling the story fake while sitting in a hospital where investigators can talk to him at any time. That's not just social media talk. That's him putting his version of events out there publicly while everything is still fresh. And when a case is being built, every version matters. Every statement, every post, every detail shared can become part of the bigger picture. Whether it's formal or informal, it all adds up. So when he's online speaking on it, that's more than just reaction. That's narrative being shaped in real time. He also shared a message that took a completely different tone, and it went viral fast. After the shooting, he posted something faith-based, saying, "Getting shot okay? I ain't tripping. My father told me my testimony already. Life support has never been an option." That message showed a totally different energy, and that contrast is what really stood out. On one side, you have someone in a hospital bed talking about survival and faith. On the other side, you've got someone online dropping diss tracks and turning the situation into viral moments. That difference in how each person moved made the situation look even more intense to the public, and it only added to how people started interpreting everything that was unfolding. And the one who was doing the most online is the same one who ended up getting picked up by the feds on April 23rd, 2026. Allstar Jr., Jeremy Christopher Ford, was arrested in California. and the timing made the whole situation feel unreal. Reports say he was on his way to do an interview with Vlad TV when authorities stepped in and took him into custody. Out of all moments, that's when it happened. He was headed to sit down for an interview, and instead, he ended up in handcuffs. That detail alone had the internet going crazy because of the reputation Vlad TV has built over the years in hip-hop conversations. For a long time, people online have joked that Vlad TV interviews lead to artists saying too much and getting themselves into trouble. That's been a running narrative, whether it's fair or not. Now, to be clear, that doesn't mean there's any real connection to law enforcement, but the optics of this situation had people talking heavy, being arrested on the way to that specific platform while already dealing with a federal investigation just looked wild to a lot of observers. As soon as the news broke, the internet reacted instantly. Memes started flying, posts were everywhere, and people were making all kinds of jokes about the timing. Some were saying the location got sent out. Others were clowning the situation in different ways. It became a viral moment almost immediately. But beyond the jokes and reactions, the actual charge is serious. He's facing one federal count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. According to the criminal complaint filed by the Department of Justice, Jeremy Christopher Ford allegedly had a handgun on or around April 8, 2026, in the Southern District of Texas. That lines up directly with the date and general location of the shooting involving NBA Ben 10 at Confessions Restaurant.
Yeah, he ain't gonna go to jail, and they done tried to do whatever they tried to do. We gonna get this statement saying them came down there to rob him. That's why he took that. And they gonna try to RICO all of them. They gonna try to RICO them. I don't want that to happen. I don't hate that. I would hate for that to happen. But man, if I'm being a real, hey, lawyer up, gang. This finna get real around this. I'm finna see some shit. Because all they got to do is say.
And here's the key issue. Because of his prior felony conviction in Michigan, federal law prohibits him from possessing a firearm at all. So even the act of handling that weapon becomes a federal violation. According to investigators, surveillance footage appears to show him doing exactly that. The moment he allegedly picked up that Glock 43X, that's where the legal problem begins from a federal standpoint. Acting U.S. Attorney John G. Mark confirmed the charge, making it official at the federal level. Ford later made his initial court appearance in Detroit and remained in custody, with a detention hearing scheduled for April 27th. And if convicted, this is not something minor. Federal charges like this carry serious consequences, and now everything that happened that night is being examined under that lens. He's now facing up to 15 years in federal prison, along with a possible $250,000 fine. That's serious time, especially when you look at how everything played out. Weeks of posting online, taunting someone who was injured, dropping diss tracks, creating viral challenges, and putting attention on himself nonstop. All of that is now sitting next to a federal case. Now let's break this down one more time so it's clear, because the word snitching gets thrown around a lot, and people don't always look at what's really happening underneath it all. First, Ben 10 was a victim in this situation and ended up hospitalized. Law enforcement having access to someone who was injured is a normal part of how investigations work. Information about what happened, confirming identities, and understanding the sequence of events all come from building a full picture. Reports from family members and media confirmations that identified him as one of the victims also contributed to how the situation became publicly known. Second, the federal complaint includes very specific details. We're talking exact timing, descriptions of what happened inside the location, and how the situation unfolded step by step. That level of detail usually comes from multiple sources being combined. Surveillance footage plays a role, but so do witness accounts and other forms of evidence gathered during an investigation. And that's important to understand, because in situations like this, information can come from many directions. People at the scene, physical evidence, and official findings all get pulled together. It's rarely just one single source telling the whole story. Third, and this is the part that stands out the most to a lot of people, is how Allstar Jr.'s own actions online added to everything. The posts, the captions, the messages, and the music all kept attention on the situation. When things like that are shared publicly, they don't just disappear. They become part of the overall narrative people are looking at. So when you put everything together, it's not just one factor that shaped this case. It's multiple layers stacking at the same time. But the online activity, especially, made the situation louder, more visible, and harder to ignore. And now, all of it is being looked at under a federal spotlight, where every detail carries weight. His Instagram caption saying he shot him a few times, that alone had people raising eyebrows. That's self-incriminating language being put out on a public platform for everybody to see. Then you add in the leaked DMs, where he's allegedly describing the situation and mocking someone who was injured. That's more content tied directly to the same incident. Then comes the diss track, Mob Untied, where he's putting his mindset and his version of events into music. When you stack all of that together, every post, every message, every song, it keeps narrowing the gap between what's being alleged and what's being investigated. It created a situation where attention kept building instead of fading. And that's why people keep saying he was making things harder on himself. While thinking he was in control of the narrative, he was putting more and more out there for everyone to analyze. In today's world, once something is public, it doesn't just disappear. It sticks, it spreads, and it gets looked at from every angle. Then you add the Vlad TV moment on top of everything. Whether people see it as coincidence or just wild timing, the optics hit hard. Someone who had been posting, reacting, and turning a serious situation into online content ends up getting arrested right before sitting down for an interview on a platform that people already associate with saying too much. That image alone had the internet going crazy. But stepping back from all the noise, this situation is bigger than just two names going back and forth. It's a real example of what happens when social media decisions collide with real-life consequences. The lesson people are taking from this is straightforward. The internet keeps everything. Every caption, every post, every message that gets shared publicly can come back later in ways people don't expect. In today's world, information moves fast, and it doesn't stay in one place. What starts as a post can quickly become something much bigger, and that's the part that stands out the most. There was time after April 8th where things could have gone quiet, space for everything to settle. But instead of stepping back, the situation stayed active online. It kept growing, turning into content, turning into moments, and staying in front of people non-stop. At that point, it stopped being just about what happened that night. It became about everything that followed after, and how every move added another layer to a situation that was already serious from the start. He turned a situation he was allegedly connected to into memes and online content, and that's what really made people stop and look twice. While all of that was happening, authorities weren't rushing or reacting publicly. They were watching, building, and letting everything stack up. Post after post, song after song, it all stayed out there, creating a trail that didn't go anywhere. From the outside, it looked like he thought he was in control, like he was shaping the narrative, staying ahead, and turning attention into influence. The challenges, the diss track, the messages, all of it gave the impression that he believed he had the upper hand over someone who was recovering in a hospital. But at the same time, things were moving in a completely different direction behind the scenes. Because while he was active online, a case was quietly being put together. While he was preparing for an interview, agents were preparing to make a move. That contrast is what makes the situation hit so hard when you really look at it. On the other side, Ben 10 was posting messages about survival and faith. He spoke about timing, about purpose, and about making it through something serious. Those posts carried a completely different tone, and that difference didn't go unnoticed by the public. And in a way that wasn't necessarily planned, his position as the person who survived and was identified as a victim became a key part of how the situation was understood. Between public confirmations, media reports, and the fact that he lived to tell his side, his role naturally became part of the bigger picture that investigators were piecing together. Meanwhile, everything Allstar Jr. shared publicly kept adding layers to how people viewed the situation. Each post, each caption, each reaction stayed visible and kept the spotlight on him. And over time, that visibility turned into pressure instead of power. That's what makes this whole situation stand out. It's not just about what happened in one moment. It's about everything that followed after. How actions online can build a trail, how quickly things can escalate, and how what feels like control in the moment can turn into something completely different later on. In the end, it wasn't just one move that shaped the outcome. It was a series of decisions, all playing out in public, one post at a time. So here's where everything stands right now. As of April 24th, 2026, Allstar Jr., Jeremy Christopher Ford, is sitting in federal custody. He's been charged with one count of being a felon in possession of a firearm. The Department of Justice has already released surveillance photos placing him at the scene, and the criminal complaint puts him in the Southern District of Texas on April 8th, the same night and same location as the NBA Ben 10 shooting. A detention hearing was set for April 27th, and now the legal process is fully in motion. On the other side, Ben 10 is recovering. J. Prince Jr. is working to keep his name clear, and the entire hip-hop space is watching this situation unfold step by step. And what makes it hit even harder is how avoidable it all looks in hindsight. Now, the big questions are still hanging in the air. Will federal prosecutors bring more charges tied directly to the shooting? Is this felon in possession charge just the beginning of something bigger? And when this situation reaches court, what role will Ben 10 ultimately play in how everything unfolds? I want to hear what you think about all this. Did Allstar Jr.'s decisions and online moves cost him everything? Did this situation feel like it was always heading in this direction? And that Vlad TV timing, coincidence? Or something deeper? Drop your thoughts in the comments right now. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share this with anyone following the story, because this is far from over. More updates are definitely coming. And when they do, we'll be right here breaking it all down piece by piece. Stay locked in.